How's it going, everybody? This is Top Driver. Hope you're having a great day, and welcome back to another video. Alright, so this moment in history happened a week and a half ago, but things have now pretty much died down since then. I felt like now would be a good time to really talk about this. As many of you already know, I currently work at the New Jersey Symphony, and recently we just announced a big move into Jersey City beginning in 2026 in regards to our new headquarters at the Symphony Center. So I feel like that for today's video, I would talk a little bit about that, how this all ended up breaking down, and ultimately share with you my thoughts on the move to the Symphony Center in Jersey City and what I think it will do for the future of this organization that I proudly work for. Now, before I begin, I need to make a disclaimer here. As a current employee at the organization, I obviously cannot reveal anything that is being discussed in private, obviously. All of this would end up being a violation of company policy, and that obviously would get me into some very big trouble. So, unfortunately, in regards to things that are discussed in private, I'm not going to talk about that here. I'm only going to share with you the details in regards to all of this that have been made in public, obviously. So, a fair warning to everybody in regards to this video. So, as you all know, I have been working at New Jersey Symphony since August of 2021, and we have been performing at NJPAC in Newark for literally the last several years. In fact, literally, it pretty much served as the home base for the New Jersey Symphony. In fact, I thought this was a permanent home base for the New Jersey Symphony, but apparently from what I have learned recently is that they've really just rented the place that we're currently working at the Military Park building. But obviously, you know, that's where we have been pretty much ever since NJPAC opened in 1997, and ultimately for the last few years, it appears that everything was really going fine with the organization, especially after what was a successful centennial season. But honestly, if you have been following the news as of lately, the Symphony has been going through a little bit of trouble, obviously, but again, we have been trying the best we can to get out of it. If you don't know exactly what I'm referring to, in August of this time last year, we ended up having to go through a pretty dramatic change in regards to the way things were operating. We actually had to cut down our season from 14 subscription concert weekends to 11 because of a developing financial crisis that ended up occurring at the organization, unfortunately, and at least 15% of the staff ended up being cut from the organization. Ultimately, there were a bunch of other reductions that had to take place as a result of it, and ultimately, this was pretty much developing ever since, you know, I first started here, and pretty much ever since the pandemic, but ultimately, things didn't get serious until August of last year. So ultimately, something had to be done for the Symphony to be able to get out of this financial hole that we have been through over the last year, unfortunately. And ultimately, before this whole thing really broke down, conversations in regards to, you know, everything in regards to the Jersey City move, they actually began early last year, but really we didn't know anything about that until like at least the end of the centennial seasons. But ultimately, those things were really being discussed in private for quite a while, but I really didn't know if it was really true or not, especially, you know, in regards to how the move would end up taking place and what the building will ultimately look like. And so I really didn't know what to think about it at first. But ultimately, after a year and a half, everything officially took shape literally a week ago on August 21st when we officially announced the opening of the Symphony Center in Jersey City, which will take place in spring of 2026. This is going to be a pretty big project for the Symphony and the Toll Brothers there in Jersey City that will basically last for about a year and a half, and ultimately the place will open up for all of the patrons in Jersey City and everywhere in New Jersey starting in the spring of 2026 at the earliest, pending on if everything goes right from now till then. Obviously, being a part of this historic milestone is obviously really huge for me. Obviously, I would have never thought that I would have been a part of the Symphony's 100th season. I never thought I would also be a part of this historic milestone in which ultimately we would have our own permanent home base in Jersey City. And I say permanent because, like I said before, this will be the new home for the Symphony. We've pretty much been on a lease with the Military Park building for the last few years, and so this will ultimately be a lease for at least 30 years once this project is completed, as far as I know. So ultimately, this is a huge thing for the organization. It's just really going to give us a lot of money to be able to continue with all the operations and really expand to 6 venues across the state of New Jersey, and ultimately, hopefully, expand our season back to 14 subscription concerts again, maybe even more than that. So in regards to what the Symphony Center will look like when it's completed, as far as I know, it is basically a building that was really rented by the Toll Brothers a few years back or something like that, and it literally is located in the middle of Provost Square. In fact, it's really just around that and Bay Street, where there's a lot of really good restaurants and a whole bunch of other performing arts centers around Jersey City. So it's basically located in the powerhouse arts district of Jersey City. So that's where this building is basically going to be located at. Now, as far as what it's going to look like, it's basically going to be a 44,000 foot square theater. Honestly, I thought it was going to be a little bigger than that, especially considering the New York Philharmonic's and the Philadelphia Orchestra's home base. But hey, what the heck, you gotta do what you gotta do here at this point, and it will be at least a 550 seat theater. So ultimately, it is going to be a pretty small theater, but again, it's ultimately going to be where all the rehearsals are going to be taking place, where all administrative activities are going to be taking place, and ultimately it will be the place where we ultimately start with expanding all of our community outreach and educational offerings in the city of Jersey City and ultimately elsewhere throughout North and Central Jersey. But either way, those are really a majority of the details as far as I know. Again, most of the other stuff is basically private conversation, so I cannot reveal that to you, obviously. And so ultimately, once the spring of 2026 comes around, hopefully when it is ready to be opened up, there's going to be a lot of excitement in regards to what this new avenue is going to look like for the New Jersey Symphony. Now again, being a part of the staff of New Jersey Symphony, if I am around by then for spring of 2026, this will ultimately be a huge thing for the organization, obviously. Again, with all the financial issues that's pretty much happened with the organization as of late, this really is a huge coup for us here. And ultimately, I'm really proud of that because this is going to allow us a lot of money, like I said before, to be able to really expand our operations again and ultimately refill our endowments. That way we can continue to hold performances in New Jersey and ultimately beyond as well if we ever go out of the state, ultimately with like a tour or something like that, and ultimately continue to expand our community offerings as well. It's really such a huge thing to be a part of, and I was really proud to be a part of that announcement at Jersey City last Wednesday, and it really is a huge moment for this organization, especially since it will be our new permanent home base. Now, of course, being an employee of the organization myself, I do have some questions in regards to this move to Jersey City. And really, one of those is, obviously it is in the middle of the powerhouse arts district, but ultimately, I do want to know what are most of the other operations really going to look like. How are we going to be able to really get there to the theater when we don't really know the best place to park yet? I mean, usually when I was working at the military park building for our organizations, there would usually be like a parking lot, underground parking lot right next to it. However, here we don't really know exactly where to park yet. So obviously, we need to find some way to be able to get to our new home base safely without any issues, especially out of it as well if we're working like really far away from Jersey City or something like that. The other thing is that I thought this theater would obviously be a lot bigger. Ultimately, if you look at the New York Philharmonic, their home is literally at the David Given Hall, which is literally about almost 2,200 seats, obviously, and of course it is located in the Lincoln Center, where there's also a home for the Metropolitan Opera and the New York City Ballet, and also for the Philadelphia Orchestra, they have their own center as well at the Kimmel Center, which obviously is now Ensemble Arts Philly. At first, I thought it was going to look like that, obviously, so I'm kind of a little disappointed about that. I thought it would be a lot bigger, but hey, like I said before, you ultimately gotta work with something, especially with, the situation that we're currently in right now. So, obviously we gotta take what we can get. And the reason why I say I thought it would be a lot bigger is because, for a theater that's going to be its new home base for the symphony, 550 seats is really not a lot, especially considering that, NJPAC has literally 2,500 seats at the Prudential Hall. So obviously this is a lot smaller than what we were used to at NJPAC. But again, like I said before, you gotta work with something, and so obviously I am especially proud to be able to, get to be a part of that move. And really just, exactly what operations are going to look like. Again, there are still really a ton of question marks in regards to exactly, what is going to happen in 2026 once this thing opens up, and ultimately, how things are really going to run. Are we going to be able to give patrons the best experience possible at the Symphony Center, and are they going to be able to experience the best of the New Jersey Symphony at this area? You gotta remember, we still got the other 5 performing venues in Newark, Morristown, New Brunswick, Princeton, and Red Bank. We'll still be performing at those venues, but adding a 6th venue, how are things going to be stretched out, obviously? Are we going to have to expand our operations, or are we going to have to to make some cuts or, something else around the lines of that, There are still a lot of question marks that are still surrounding this move, in my opinion. But again, being an employee at the organization, I cannot really answer or ask any of those questions to you, obviously, because, like I said before, company policy prohibits me from really speaking about anything that's being discussed in private. So I'll leave those for the back burner until ultimately everything becomes clearer in regards to what will happen in this move. But yeah, in regards to this move overall, it's a little bittersweet, obviously, because I really enjoyed working in Newark over the last few years, obviously, and really there's just been a whole lot of fun working there, especially considering that I didn't even have to go very far to NJPAC. I mean, I never even visited NJPAC before I literally started there in August of 2021. So I really get to enjoy watching all the performance there at NJPAC, literally getting to walk from the Military Park building where we previously worked at all the way over to NJPAC, which literally is just a couple of minutes just to get everything set up and ultimately really watch all the performances and promote the concerts as well. I really enjoyed doing that. I'm definitely going to miss those memories there at performing at NJPAC. And I say bittersweet because Newark obviously is literally the most popular city in all of New Jersey. This basically has been the home of the New Jersey Symphony for so many years, like literally decades or something like that. So obviously a lot of history in regards to the New Jersey Symphony was built in Newark. And of course, they also had a previous home there in regards to the Newark Symphony Hall. Obviously, I have been in there once before, and it is a lot smaller than NJPAC, I will tell you that. But obviously, once the move to NJPAC happened in 1997, obviously, there was a lot more avenues to be able to build on the performance schedule and ultimately bring more performances to the people in New Jersey. And that especially was a lot of fun. I am happy at the very least we get to continue performing at NJPAC because, like I said before, that's pretty much the main performing arts center in all of New Jersey, and ultimately there's still a lot of great things to come there in regards to the symphony's relationship there with NJPAC, especially when we start our new season on October 6th later this year. I definitely feel like that there are still a lot of great memories to be made there, and I'm really looking forward to getting to continue to perform there after 2026 and beyond, because there are still a lot of great things to come up there, especially with the other performing arts venues that we're performing at as well. But again, because of the financial situation that the New Jersey Symphony was in, something obviously had to happen, especially since we were pretty much on a lease at the building that we were working at the last few years, and obviously we were not in a great state financially, even after the great season that we had in the 2023-24 season. And so we needed a permanent home to be able to really get ourselves out of the situation that we were in. And I definitely hope that this move to Jersey City and the Symphony Center really helps us to get out of that situation and ultimately be able to not only expand on our concert schedule again, but also ultimately to really just promote the arts in a big way in the state of New Jersey. But again, it really depends if I am around with the New Jersey Symphony by that time in spring of 2026. I would like to be. That's currently the main goal as things stand right now. But again, it really just depends on what happens between now and then. But again, this is still such a huge milestone for this organization, and I would really like to see if other performing arts organizations or orchestras perform at the Symphony Center. Maybe even like a surprise appearance by the New York Philharmonic or the Philadelphia Orchestra at the Symphony Center. Again, it's a really small venue, and ultimately I would like to see it expanded at some point to ultimately make it the same size as NJPAC. But again, it's really going to depend on exactly what happens between the time it opens and then. So obviously that remains to be seen. But yeah, after 100 years of being around in the Garden State, this is such a huge moment for the New Jersey Symphony. I'm obviously very happy to be a part of this historic moment for this organization, to finally have a permanent home base at the Symphony Center in Jersey City. This is really going to make a lot of better waves in regards to performing arts in the state of New Jersey. It's already made waves on the New York Times, so this is even getting national news as well, and ultimately it's just going to allow us to really expand our reach across the state of New Jersey and beyond as well. Hopefully with some of that money as well, we can also return to Carnegie Hall and ultimately make some tours internationally as well, because that obviously would be huge. But again, for now, it's really just starting out small and ultimately working our way up from there. And this move to Jersey City is going to do wonders for this organization. So yeah, those are really just my overall thoughts in regards to the move to the Symphony Center in Jersey City. There are still a lot of questions and concerns in regards to this move, and hopefully those are answered very soon. But again, at the time being, this ultimately is a huge thing for this organization, and being a part of this organization, this obviously is something that I'm very proud to be a part of in regards to this prized organization, the top orchestra in the state of New Jersey and one of the top ones in the world. Obviously, to have our own base for the very first time in literally the 100 years this organization has existed. I'm very proud to be a part of that moment, and I cannot wait to see exactly what happens once we officially complete the move to Jersey City and the Symphony Center. So yeah, if you happen to be around the state of New Jersey, if you're around by spring of 2026, once the Symphony Center opens, hopefully you do come and check it out. I've already seen exactly what it's going to look like, and ultimately once this place does open, I can tell you right now there's going to be a lot of very special memories that are going to be held at that new center. So I really can't wait for 2026. I'm looking forward to being a part of it if I am there by that time. And yeah, hopefully if you're in the Jersey City area or anywhere around New Jersey, or let's say like New York or southeastern Pennsylvania or something like that, hopefully you come check it out, because by that time, once it does open up, it's going to be a lot of fun. That's going to do it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed it. As always, if you'd like to see more of my content, be sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell so you know when my latest video is released. Comment below for future suggestions for all my videos, whether it's blogs, plushes, or challenges, you name it. Leave it in the comments below and I'll do my best to make them. As always, follow me on my social media. All the links are in the description below. That's going to do it for this video. I hope you're having another great day. As always, I hope to see you all again in another video very soon. So long, everybody.